short period of time, and then the cassette just took over. You know, would you bump? How did you bump it in your car? How did it sound? Talk to us about the 8-track.
8-track was the predecessor, well, came after, I should say, the 4-track. Okay. Nobody knows about 4 tracks. You have to be there to understand what a 4-track is. A 4-track looks just like an 8-track. The difference in a 4-track and an 8-track, on a 4-track, the ball is in the recorder and it pops out and it squeezes between the head and a little roller, whereas an 8-track has the ball built in it has little grooves on the side of it that once it locks in, the mechanism kicks in and it starts playing the tape against the head and the roller. 8-tracks, I mean, they were tape, dude. They were tape. And that's all we had. So we had nothing to compare it to. But even the 8-track sound okay, because again, we didn't know the difference. We knew that the stereos in the house sound better. If you had a reel-to-reel, back in the day at your house, oh, big roll. And an 8-track was the closest thing you could have to a reel-to-reel in your car, because you can't put a reel-to-reel in your car. It's not going to work. But because it was tape and we were under the illusion, under the perception that tape gave you this super pure sound, because it had a term called audiophile. You can achieve an audiophile from tape and from specially made records. Audiophile records were extra thick. They were real thick records, and they would cut deeper, and they were a lot more. They were a lot richer in sound. They cost a lot more money. They stopped making them a long time ago. But the 8-track was of that era, of the audiophile era, when you had these certain kind of speakers in your house, certain kind of, like I said, 8-tracks, and that was the most convenient way to play music back in the day, because you could actually, because before then you had little record players in your car, literally. You had a little record player that was under your dash, and it was cool as long as you wasn't driving. And you might get it for a while. You might get a decent sound while you're driving for a minute, because they had it was spring loaded, so it could take a little shock. But unless you're on the freeway and it's cruising, it don't do you no good. On the street, any kind of bumps, whatever, record's going to jump, just like it did. That's why, as a DJ, I hated playing boats, because as soon as the water and the wave, your needle's going to start jumping, and people looking at you. It's just the wave, it ain't me. Anyway, 8-tracks gave you that. It was 4 tracks of music. You can push the button four times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get 4 different songs. And the reason why they called them 8 tracks, because each track had a left and right track to it. Stereo. It was stereo. So you got 2, 4, 6, 8. That's why they called it 8 tracks. Okay. And it was a continuous loop inside of a cartridge. So as long as you played this, it would just continue to play. And if you got tired of that song, you could click it to the next song. Usually it would be in the middle. That was the problem with it. It was hard as hell to get at the beginning of a song when you push the button. But at some point in time, as a young DJ, all I had was 8 tracks, and I learned when in one song, I would click it, till I got to the end of one song, and right before it clicked over to the second track, I pull it out. My pull-out game was good. My pull-out game was real good. And
4 kids.
After 5 kids, bro.
5
kids.
My bad.
When it came to 8 tracks, I had my pull-out game was pretty good. But you just and then I'm playing, because we had component sets. Remember this now. We had component sets with a record player on the top, with a built-in 8-track and a built-in radio. All this shit was in one little box about this big. That's the closest thing we had to a mixer situation. So some songs would be on the 8-track, some you'd have the 45 or the single, and as the 45 would play, and you pull that 8-track. Now you gotta be careful. You gotta hold the stereo and pull the 8-track out just enough where it wouldn't lock in, but not not enough where it would get tangled up. Sometimes they get tangled up. And when you got ready to play it, As soon as the record go off and he goes to that little silent part, you had to push it in, and you tried not to have no dead air. You had to be a bad son of a bitch not to have no dead air. Okay. But anyway, that was the 8-track, and like I said, as far as sound quality, we didn't have no boosters, no equalizers, no amplifiers. Whatever the power came out of your mixer, out of your unit, that's all you had, Doc. And you'd be lucky if you got some powerful 6x9s. We mostly had 6-inch speakers, and well, if you tied them in parallel, you boost up the ohms and make them sound a little stronger, but you took a chance on blowing your speakers out too.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of blowing out speakers, and I'm gonna get back to my ear that I just had ear surgery on. I'm gonna encourage everyone out there, if you're a little bit younger than me, not to get big ass speakers and amplifiers and tweeters and this in your car and just let music just bump in your ear all day. If you're a DJ or you deal with music, be careful with keeping your a headphone in your ear. Make sure the music is at a right level. I know I'm sounding like old ass Dusty right now, but you don't want to have to go through ear surgery when you get older, man. I mean, Lonzo, you're deaf in one ear, right? And would you say that a lot of it was due to music?
Definitely, Doc. I'm not totally deaf, but I'm partially in my left ear. I mean, I can hear right now. I can hear certain things. I hear myself more than anything. But if I'm talking to a female, I'll have to change ears. I have to change ears completely, and that's because I had a bad habit of doing this right here back in the day. That's your earphone ear right there. That's you partial to that thing, and you're doing different things, and it just you stick your head in the down speaker to see if the tweeter's working or not. I've done that shit many a time, and over the years, man, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll. I'm surprised. I'm gonna tell you who I'm surprised ain't totally deaf. And that's Dr. Dre. I'm surprised he ain't totally deaf.
Talk to us about that. I remember that story. Tell me.
I have a poster from Michel'le tape. It's a dude sitting in a chair, and the speakers are so loud, the drink is falling over on the side. He's being blown back. I bought that poster because of Dre. That's how he played. He blew up more speakers than anybody I've ever known in my life. He would just blow up speakers, DJ speakers, studio speakers. He played that shit loud as fuck. Even my boy biker, dirt biker Donovan, he had to put some club speakers inside his studio because his JBL monitors couldn't handle the shit that Dre was putting through them. He had to put some big ass club speakers. I mean, a woofer, a pair of woofers. I mean, a pair of bass bottoms and a pair of fucking 215 each speakers just to accommodate this dude's tasteful